Take it seriously, please. Okay, hello everybody, my name is Igor Radun and I'm a researcher. I started my research 10 years ago and since then I have been member of this famous university. I heard that in some departments more than 90% of staff belong to this organization. I'm currently participating in the famous University of Helsinki 57-step research career model for becoming an independent researcher. I'm 39 years old and I'm already on 23rd step. And I estimate that I will be independent researcher for at least 5 years before I retire. Beside my scientific work, I also volunteer in this drop-in research support group. I have no life. We have quite many people coming to talk to us. I'm a traffic psychologist. We study driver behavior, and I'm going to talk tonight about driver fatigue, although the real topic of my presentation is give me some funding. As many of you, we always apply to the Academy of Finland, and we never get any funding, of course. But the good thing with the Academy of Finland is that you get really a good feedback from them. And they say, oh, your research is really interesting, but unfortunately it's too applied research. We support basic science, hard science, and there's nothing hard in your research proposal. They also tell us you should increase international cooperation. You should have more international partners. Then they tell us also we support only the most gifted scientists, and they give us the really precise explanation. What do they mean about gifted scientists? Then we apply for the funding from different kind of ministries. For example, we apply from the Ministry of Transport and Silly Walks. And they say to us, oh, this is really interesting research, but unfortunately it's too scientific for us. We mostly applied research. It seems to us that you are doing this research only for your own pleasure. From our point of view, it's just waste of resources. You should leave your labs, your dark offices. You should go into real world and find somebody. Somebody must be waiting out there for you, that you can apply your skills. Then we apply also from the University of Helsinki. I just submitted a research proposal for postdoc research position, and we get also detailed feedback from university, and then tell us, wow, this is really good combination of applied and basic scientific research. But they tell us you work in too small group. There's only 3 of us in our group. You are missing a senior scientist. It's always good to have a senior experienced scientist. So we don't get funding also from the university. Then we apply from many foundations in Finland. There are many of them. That's a good thing, but the bad thing is that they don't give you any feedback. They just send you their decision. So now you heard a little bit how we are struggling with funding. Now I can move on to the topic of my presentation. People fall asleep in the wrong places in the wrong time. I saw a few people fell asleep on some previous presentations. So it's really not uncommon. You will be surprised when you see the next text that it's really not uncommon to fall asleep in situations where you shouldn't really fall asleep. Quite a lot of Google hits on Facebook. Facebook is a really good source for our researchers. People write there everything. So if you're a Facebook user, please continue writing. It's a good source for us. But we were not satisfied with these crude numbers. We wanted to go behind these. And then we came to the genius idea. We ran this search again, but we excluded pages with word alcohol. And you see that only a few, it's a clear correlation between alcohol and falling asleep in this kind of situation. And as any good scientist, we say it's a correlation. We don't claim any causality here. But it's well known that alcohol, besides stimulating effects, has sedative effects on performance, especially in high. When we are really drunk, then we are more likely to fall asleep, or when our blood concentration goes down. Even a small amount of alcohol increases sleepiness, and dangerous combination. So if you have taken a beer or two and you are listening these boring presentations, and if you're driving home later, be aware that you might fall asleep. Even if you've been drinking a lot, even the next day your performance can be impaired due to alcohol, and you might fall asleep even the next day in the afternoon. So people are also experiencing sleepiness at work, for example. So if you work in the office, nothing much really can happen. But if you are air traffic controller, or if your work includes working on this kind of machine, you can imagine what really can happen. And I wanted to show you one really nice video, but the Islam producers were really angry at me. No blood, you can't show any blood here. But then I said I was referring to sex and that kind of things. No, they said, this is Finland, that can go. You can show as many naked people if you want, if they just serve to your presentation. So I will show only pictures that really serve for the purpose of my presentation. So this is a nurse working a double shift, including the night shift, and she correctly recognized in the mornings that she's not fit to drive, and she stayed to sleep at the hospital. This is Japanese. I think she's not pilot, she's stewardess, but she's suffering from jet lag, and she took a nap at the airport before driving home. This is a girl driving a car a long distance, and she realized that she's too tired, and then she stopped and took a nap in a car. But it's not always easy to take a nap in a car, especially if you're in a foreign country or in the middle of the forest in Finland. You have to find a safe place to take a nap. So this is one example how to find a safe place, because there is a lot of predators outside. So what is fatigue? We use this term every day. I'm so tired to continue talking. I'm so tired to do some sports. I have to go to sleep. I also heard that some wives say something like this, but never happened to me though. I'm not sure it is true. I just heard, so I can't guarantee about this one. So it's very difficult to define and measure fatigue. So we researchers quite often turn to sleepiness because it's easier to measure sleepiness and define it. So what we do this kind of research. We put these kind of electrodes on the driver, then we put some cameras to take videos of eye movements, then we measure steering movements and movements of the car. And sometimes when we are really bored, then we put drivers to drive until they can drive. And this happens for our amusement. Now you see he's almost falling asleep. funny video. So, what are these factors and groups for falling asleep behind the wheel? So this is one statement, and I will give you I will show you two persons, and you might guess who is more likely to say something like this: a woman or a man. I think you all know the answer. This is the other statement. We were coming from Province Rock Festival, and I had only 5 hours of sleep during the last 2 days. Is it a young man? Or is it the older man? Oops, sorry, I'm sorry, this is the wrong picture. This guy always pops up when I talk about falling asleep behind the wheel. I deleted his picture a few times in my presentation, but he just continues coming up. So you might guess that a young driver, this statement, that he's more likely to say something like that. So how we fight driver fatigue? Taking a nap 15 to 20 minutes is a powerful tool against sleepiness. Drinking coffee, and especially if you drive long distances, you stop and then you drink a coffee and take 15 minutes nap. That is a really powerful tool. But some people have some other kind of ideas. You can see this guy, he's drinking coffee, but he's also writing text messages, so you can imagine he's really tired and still doing something else instead of paying attention to the road. But he's nothing compared to this lady. Her strategies is even more scary. So one of the risk factors for falling asleep behind the wheel is monotony. If you drive long distances, if you drive to Lapland, there is forest, lake, forest, lake, forest, lake. It's quite monotonous. And then we traffic psychologists, we are really smart people, and for example, in a desert, we put this kind of billboards. So that we keep people more awake and alert. But I think Finland is a leader in this kind of campaign. So a few months ago, we had a really big campaign. We put this kind of signs all over the Finland. But this proved quite good countermeasure in inner Finland, in rural areas. They observed a smaller amount of fatigue-related accidents, but it had a completely different effect close to the big towns. People found this very funny, and they were laughing while driving, and then they were losing control in slippery road conditions. Actually, we had more accidents near urban centers in Finland. So this was not a good choice. So then, this is a little bit of secret. This campaign will come out soon. The ministry gathered a few dozens of really prominent researchers in Finland, and they were thinking, what kind of signs we can make that would produce a mild alertness in every Finn, to put a smile on the face of every Finn. And this is for foreigners who don't know, this is a Finnish famous singer. And in addition to his photos, they put one of his famous quotes. I really can't translate this into English. So if you have a colleague who speaks Finnish, please ask him to translate it for you. I guess you foreign researchers heard that quite often when you get emails from the university administration. Just in the bottom, please ask your Finnish colleague to translate you this. So, to conclude, I will borrow words of one famous traffic psychology counselor. You all know, for example, marijuana is bad, alcohol is bad. Thank you.